The first time Karen marched up to my gate waving a crumpled piece of paper and yelling something about a court warrant, I genuinely thought I was on some hidden camera show. I mean, who tries to serve a warrant for a neighbor's front yard? She was red-faced and panting like she'd just sprinted across the cul-de-sac, clutching that paper like it was the last golden ticket to Wonka's factory. Behind her, a couple of her HOA sidekicks hovered awkwardly like they couldn't decide if they should cheer her on or just drag her back to her SUV before she embarrassed them any further. But Karen, God bless her, was all in. She slammed that paper against my automatic gate and barked out, "You have 48 hours to comply or face immediate removal." I had to bite my tongue not to laugh. My sarcasm reflex is way stronger than my sense of humor, so I just leaned back on the gate post and said, "Funny, most warrants come with a badge, not a coupon stapled to the top." Her jaw-clenched nostrils flared, and she launched into this full-throttle HOA sermon about safety hazards and aesthetic violations. Apparently my crimes included having a solid gate, a garden shed, and here's the real kicker, not bowing down to her invitations to board meetings. She never liked that my house was outside their little kingdom, or that my gate made it clear I didn't want her running my life. But here's the twist. She picked the absolute worst day to try me. What Karen didn't know, and none of them knew, was that I'd just had my gate's wiring upgraded. People had tried to force it open before, so I had a pro install a higher voltage deterrent, not dangerous just enough to make you think twice. Karen naturally believed physics didn't apply to her. She's hollering about warrants while her hand inched toward the latch. I didn't warn her. Didn't need to. The moment she yanked it, the gate zapped her. There was a pop, a crackle, and this sound that was half scream, half banshee wail. The HOA flunkies gasped. Karen staggered back, hair a little frizzed, that precious warrant drifting to the ground like sad confetti. Now, I probably should have felt guilty, right? But I'll be honest, I felt this strange, peaceful calm, like the universe had finally handed her a reality check. Because in that instant, it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Karen learning publicly that fake authority doesn't win over everyone, and that folks was the opening shot. She thought she'd started a war. She didn't know how ready I was to finish it. The next day, I figured she'd be hiding out licking her wounds. Most people would, not Karen. By mid-morning, her minivan's back in my driveway like nothing had happened. This time, she brought back up 2 rent-a-cops in matching sunglasses, looking like mall security auditioning for an action flick. Batons, radios, the whole 9 yards. You could tell from their faces Karen hadn't told them the whole story. Karen strutted up to the gate, pointed at me, and screeched, "That's the man who assaulted me with an illegal electric death trap. Arrest him and disable this gate." The taller guard called out, "Sir, open the gate. We're here to conduct an investigation." I sipped my coffee, leaned against the post, and said, "Did y'all get deputized at the bake sale?" The shorter guy flashed a badge, or, well, a laminated card with a cartoon sun and picket fence HOA logo. I nearly spit my coffee out. "Where do you keep the handcuffs next to the lemonade stand?" The guard shuffled, not used to being mocked, but Karen doubled down, rattling off legal threats so fast she sounded like an auctioneer. But here's what she didn't know I'd called the real sheriff the night before. The deputy literally laughed when I told him about her warrant and told me if anyone pretends to be law enforcement, film it. We'll handle it. So while Karen ramped up her performance, I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Karen, you're trespassing with 2 men impersonating officers. You want me to call the sheriff. They'll be here in 15 minutes. That hit like a live wire. The guards exchanged glances. "Wait, you're not in the HOA?" "Nope. Independent property. Not their jurisdiction." "How's that look for your liability insurance?" The spell was broken. The guards bailed. Karen chased them screaming betrayal, but they peeled out fast. Second time in 2 days, she was left alone, red-faced and empty-handed. She kicked my gate and shrieked, "This isn't over." Honestly, almost felt bad for her. Almost. That evening, I caught her peeking through her blind's phone glued to her ear. By midnight, my buddy Dave texted heads up Karens telling people she's filing a criminal complaint on you. Says you're running a booby-trapped property. I laughed so hard I almost dropped my phone. But here's where things stopped being funny. A false police report meant real consequences. So I spent the morning collecting everything: electrician receipts, city permits, even security footage of Karen frying herself clear as day with signs saying, "Do not touch gate." At noon, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up, no lights, just calm. The deputy stepped out, young but confident, heard about the complaint. He said, half smiling, "But let's hear your side." I laid it all out. Permits, receipts, footage. When he saw Karen zapping herself, he actually laughed. "Looks legal to me." She touched it despite clear warnings. "I'll file this under self-inflicted consequences." I asked if it was over. He grinned. "With people like her, never. But I'll note that any more false complaints will count as harassment." For a minute, I thought maybe the circus was finally leaving town. But nope. That night, I saw Karen in her driveway, arms crossed, glaring holes through my house, and beside her a man in a dark suit, briefcase in hand, sizing up my gate like a general. Next morning, he shows up, doesn't even knock, just stares at me through the bars. Karen hovers behind him, smug as ever. "Good morning, I'm Mr. Doyle, representing the HOA," he says, all smooth and lawyerly. "We have serious concerns about your hazardous gate." Karen jumps in. "He's operating an illegal fortress. We're filing for injunction." I took a long sip of coffee. Cute. "Only problem, I'm not in your HOA." Doyle doesn't miss a beat. "While that may be technically true, your property abuts HOA land. Your structures are a danger to members. That gives us standing." Karen nearly burst with pride. I flipped through his legal document. It was a Frankenstein mess. Half the pages didn't even match our county. One even referenced boating docks. We're nowhere near water. "Tell me," I deadpanned, "did Karen type this herself? Or does your paralegal moonlight as a stand-up comic?" Doyle bristled, threatening litigation. I smiled. Already filed for declaratory judgment. Got all my paperwork, permits, and a greatest hits video reel of Karen's antics. Want a copy for your inbox? Doyle's mask slipped. He muttered, "We'll be in touch," and hurried back to his car, leaving Karen screeching at his heels. But she wasn't out of tricks. Less than 2 days later, I woke up to orange spray paint on my driveway. Criminal danger hazard and HOA pamphlet stuffed in my mailbox. Taped to my gate, another demand for inspection. Karen's handwriting all over it. Instead of blowing up, I documented everything: photos, timestamps, even paint samples, and called the sheriff. This time, 2 deputies marched to her door, evidence bag in hand. "Ma'am, this is vandalism. If we find your fingerprints, you'll be facing charges." She blamed local kids. They didn't buy it. That night, Karen returned alone, pressed up against my gate, hissing, "I'll bury you. I'll shut off your power. I'll make this house worthless. You don't know who you're dealing with?" Her threats had shifted from annoying to genuinely unhinged, so I double-checked my security, braced myself, and waited. Next morning, my power went out, every light, every appliance. I looked out, and there she was, bolt cutters in hand, standing by the utility box with wires hanging out, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. Now, tampering with utilities isn't just vandalism, it's a felony. Within minutes, sirens echoed through the neighborhood. Deputies found her still there, tools in hand. "Ma'am, put the cutters down." She sputtered some story about community safety. The deputies weren't buying it. They cuffed her, marched her to the cruiser, and my neighbors who'd gathered in pajamas actually applauded as Karen was driven away. The utility crew muttered, "Guess 220 volts weren't enough last time." I finally started to believe the nightmare was ending. But the very next day, she's back out on bail, rallying her HOA loyalists for a protest at my driveway, waving homemade signs. "Hazard house down with death gates." I sat on my porch swing with iced tea and watched. The whole circus fizzled after 2 hours in the heat. That night I caught Karen hammering a chain across the sidewalk, trying to blockade the world. I recorded her meltdown. By morning, the footage was everywhere: Facebook group, neighborhood memes, even Karen with lightning bolts and power-hungry Karen edits. The tide had turned. People mocked her openly. She started hiding behind her blinds. But dethroned monarchs are dangerous. 2 nights later at 3 a.m., I woke to a crash. Headlights jammed against my gate, Karen's SUV nose, crumpled wheels spinning uselessly. She'd actually tried to ram her way through like some kind of one-woman siege engine. Deputies arrived fast. This time, as they cuffed her, the neighbors applauded again. "We're done giving her slaps on the wrist," one deputy said. "This time, the DA's gonna have a field day." You'd think that would be the end. But the next morning, moving trucks arrived at Karen's house. Word spread her husband filed for separation. The house was going up for sale. Bail and legal fees had drained them dry. Karen showed up fresh from lockup and lost it. She screamed at the movers, tried to stop them, but legal orders trumped her tantrums. She blamed me, of course. "You poisoned this neighborhood," I just told her. "Karen, you did that all by yourself." By nightfall, she was gone. Her kingdom scraps of cardboard, a toppled gnome, a for sale sign. Charges stacked up: felony, tampering, vandalism, trespassing, harassment. The HOA board kicked her out as president. For the first time in years, the neighborhood felt free. People joked about it in the grocery store. Even the coffee shop gave me a free latte after hearing the story. Karen vanished. Some say to her sister's place, some say a motel. It didn't matter, she wasn't here. The day her for sale sign went up, folks held a block party. HOA equal sign. "Happy," the banner said. It felt like power finally came back on after a blackout. New neighbors moved in, brought cookies, waved, never once mentioned my shed. The whole place felt lighter. And that's what stuck with me most. Not the arrests, not the lawsuits, not even the memes. It was how Karen's downfall reminded everyone her power had always been fake. All it took was someone standing up saying no, and the whole illusion collapsed. She wanted to be remembered as the queen of the HOA. She wound up a cautionary tale, a punchline. The last I heard, she took a plea: probation, fines, community service. Rumor is she picks up trash in a fluorescent vest. Maybe cleaning up someone else's mess will teach her something about her own. As for me, I don't gloat. I just live. The gate still stands humming softly, and every time I walk past it, I think about Karen's final words as they hauled her away. "You don't understand who you're dealing with." Oh, I understood, Karen. We all did. But what about you? Would you have stood your ground? Or would you have caved to the pressure? Drop your thoughts down below. Let's hear your stories of standing up to the Karens of the world.